Again, it's my privilege to be here tonight and worship with you and say a few words. I was told back when I was in college taking some courses, never apologize when you start to say something. I got to break that tonight. I've been fighting an upper respiratory infection and been fighting it about a week. It's gotten a little bit better, but I wouldn't be surprised if I had to stop and cough a little bit. I went and got some shots last night and some prescriptions, so hopefully I'll make it. If I have trouble, well, please bear with me. That is our topic tonight, the question that Jesus asked Peter. Peter, do you love me? You ever have anybody ask you that? I can remember once in a while my wife would say, honey, do you love me? And I wonder, have I done something? Have I said something wrong? Or has she done something that I need to know about? But usually she'll just say, just checking. Well, maybe that's what Jesus was doing with Peter, just checking. Peter, do you love me? Of course, the passage we'll be looking at is from John chapter 21. I'm going to read just the first part, verse 15. So when they had dined, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon son of Jonas, lovest thou me more than these? He saith unto him, Yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. He saith unto him, Feed my lambs. Now we'll read the rest of the passage a little bit later on, but I want to talk first of all about love. Why would Jesus ask Peter, do you love me? Could it be because of some things that had happened shortly before that? Maybe he's just checking, but maybe it is because of those events, and he needed to make sure. After the Lord's Supper, they went to the Mount of Olives, and I'll see if I can navigate this thing to get the right scriptures. From Matthew chapter 26, I begin reading with verse 31. I usually print out all of these, but I worked on a different computer for this one, and it didn't have the capability of streaming from the Bible to the passage that we're working on, so bear with me, please. Matthew 26, beginning with verse 31. Then said Jesus unto them, All ye shall be offended because of me this night. For it is written, I will smite the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock shall be scattered abroad. But after I am risen again, I will go before you into Galilee. Peter answered and said to him, Though all men shall be offended because of thee, yet I will never be offended. Jesus said to him, Verily I say unto thee, that this night, before the cock crows, thou shalt deny me 3 times. Peter said unto him, Though I should die with you, yet I will not deny thee. Likewise also said all the disciples. Jesus was warning the disciples. He was telling them, of course he had foreknowledge of what was going to happen. He knew that he was going to be arrested, would be put to death, and he wanted to prepare his disciples. And he knew that it would be a strain on them. He said, all of you will be ashamed of me at that time. But Peter, no. Peter, he's the rambunctious one. He's the one that always speaks up. No, I'll never deny you. Though I have to die, I will not die. I will not leave you nor forsake you. And so he asked him on this occasion, Peter, do you love me? And that's not all. In John 18, verse 10, Peter cut off the ear of the servant of the high priest right there in the garden when Jesus was being arrested. He was wanting to do something, save his master. So he cut off his ear. Of course, Jesus simply replaced it, told him we're not fighting a battle with swords. Right now, this is a different kind of battle. And so Jesus healed him. Also, when Jesus had been buried and crucified, or crucified and then buried, the disciples were together, and Peter said, "I go fishing." Now remember, Jesus had said, "I'm going to die, but I will be back." But Jesus died. Now he's gone. The disciples are meeting here empty-hearted. And finally, Peter said, "I'm going to go back to fishing." And they all said that, yeah. We'll give up on this cause. It was good while Jesus was leading us, but now he's gone. So I might as well go back to fishing. So this was another reason that Jesus would want to say to him, "Peter, do you love me?" Let's read the rest of the passage from the book of John that we were reading a little bit ago, John 21. There in verses 14 and 15. No, I got it in Matthew. I got to go to John. Sorry about that. If I was a teenager, I could work this thing just like everything, but I'm not a teenager anymore. John 21, verse 14, beginning. This is the third time that Jesus showed himself to his disciples after that he was risen from the dead. So when they had dined, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me more than these?" He saith unto him, "Yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee." He saith unto him, "Feed my lambs." He saith unto him again the second time, "Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee." He saith unto him, "Feed my sheep." He saith unto him the third time, "Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me?" Peter was grieved because he said to him the third time, "Lovest thou me?" And he said to him, "Lord, thou knowest all things. Thou knowest that I love thee." Jesus said unto him, "Feed my sheep." Peter was really put on the spot here. But he answered that yes, I love you. And we'll go into the deeper part of that in just a little while. Love is a theme that we need to discuss and consider at all times. And so in a little bit we'll do like Paul Harvey used to say, now you know the news, now you'll hear the rest of the story. We'll get to the rest of the story in just a little bit. But love is the theme of the scriptures, and it appears in 49 of the 66 books of the New Testament. We're told that God is love. Love is not merely a feeling. It's not just something you fall into. It's actually a command. We're going to turn back to Matthew again and read from Matthew 22, beginning with verse 35. Then one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him a question, tempting him, and saying, Master, which is the great commandment in the law? Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. So it's not just a feeling. It's not just a tender emotion, even though that enters into it. This kind of love that Jesus was talking about is a love that was commanded and must come from the heart. It involves the whole man and the actions of every one of us. In 1 Corinthians 12, verses 4 and on through verse 13, we want to read a little bit. In 1 Corinthians chapter 12, Jesus was telling about the things, or Paul was writing about the things that were happening. And he talked about the spiritual gifts that they were receiving. Beginning with verse 5, he says, and there are differences of administrations, but the same Lord. And there are diversities of operations, but it's the same God which worketh all in all. But the manifestation of the Spirit is given to every man to profit withal. For to one is given by the Spirit the word of wisdom, to another the word of knowledge by the same Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit, to another the gifts of healing by the same Spirit, to another the working of miracles, to another prophecy, to another discerning of spirits, to another divers kinds of tongues, to another interpretation of tongues. But all these worketh that one and the selfsame Spirit, dividing to every man severally as he will. For as a body is one and hath many members, and all those members of that body, being many, are one body, so also is Christ. For by one Spirit we are all baptized into the body, whether we be Jews or Gentiles, whether we be bond or free, and have all been made to drink of that one Spirit. For the body is not one member, but many. If the foot should say to because I'm not the hand, I'm not of the body, is it not of the body? And if the ear should say, because I'm not the eye, I'm not of the body, is it therefore not of the body? If the whole body were an eye, where were the hearing? If the whole were hearing, where were the smelling? But now hath God set these members, every one of them in the body, as it hath pleased him. And if there were one member where there was one body, he said, but now there are many members, yet but one body. And the eye cannot say to the hand, I have no need of you, nor the head to the feet, I have no need of you. Nay, much more, these members of the body, which seem to be more feeble, are necessary. And these members of the body, which seem to be more, members of the body which we think to be less honorable, upon these we bestow more abundant honor. And our uncomely parts have more abundant comeliness. For our comely parts have no need, but God hath tempered the body together, having given more abundant honor to that part which lacketh. And there should be no schism or division in the body, but that the members should have the same care one of another. And whether one member suffer, all the members suffer with it. Or if one member is honored, all the members rejoice with it. Now ye are the body of Christ, and members in particular. And God has set some in the church, first apostles, secondary prophets, thirdly teachers, after that miracles, then gifts of healing, helps, governments, diversities of tongues. Are all apostles? Are all prophets? Are all teachers? Are all workers of miracles? Have all the gifts of healing? Do all speak with tongues or interpret? And he says, but covet the best gifts, and yet I show unto you a more excellent way. And we go to the next chapter 13. Here is the more excellent way. Though I speak with the tongues of men and angels, and have not love, I am become as a sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I can remove mountains, and have not love, I am nothing. Although I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned and have not love, it profits me nothing. Love suffers long and is kind. Love envieth not. Love vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up. Love doth not behave itself unseemly, seeketh not her own, is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil, rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in the truth, beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. Love never fails, but whether there be prophecies, they shall fail. Whether there be tongues, they shall cease. Where there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part, but when that which is perfect is come, then that which is in part shall be done away. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. For now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know even as I am known. Verse 13 says, and now abideth faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. That tells us what love is. We'll get into some of the things that are involved in it too as we go further. It's hard to get the full meaning from our English translation. Greek is one of the richest of all languages. It has the capability to express different shades of meaning and using different words to express those shades of meaning. But when the translators translate it into the English, it all comes out one word, love. It doesn't pay any attention to the different shades of that love. In English, we have that one word to express love. The Greek has at least 4 words to express love. In the Koine Greek, which is the common Greek, the noun agape and the verb agapan, is the meanings of expressing the highest kind of love. To dig a little deeper, we want to look at those other Greek words too. The word eros is a verb form of mainly used to speak of love between the sexes. It is from the word eros that we get the word erotic. That tells you what it is, isn't it? It's not the good, it's the bad. Its usage is degenerated to describe the carnal, the evil use of love. It does not appear in the English New Testament at all. It does in classical Greek some, but not in the New Testament. Then there's a noun, storge, and it's a verb from which the use means to love your family. Father and mother, mates love one another. We love our children love us. So it's a warm fatherly love, or family love, that is expressed by the word storge, and it's used several times in the scriptures. It goes a little bit deeper than some of the others, but we use it. Then there's the word philia. This is a word that it expresses warmth. It expresses closeness and affection. It's definitely a word which can be used for a Christian's love, expressing the near and dear feelings that we have one for another. It can express a fondness for someone. So it's a beautiful word, a well-used word. And then back to the word agape. It's used so much because of the depth of its meaning. It demands the exercise of the whole person, body and soul. It includes the love of those who are near to us, and it goes further. It even says you need to love your enemy. We're told to love our enemies, those who despitefully use us. This doesn't seem natural, but it must extend to those who do not like me. In Matthew chapter 5, beginning with verse 43 and reading on down through verse 48. We have heard that it has been said, thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies. Bless them that curse you. Do good to them that hate you, and pray that for them which despitefully use you and persecute you, that you may be the children of your Father, which is in heaven. For he maketh his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sendeth his rain on the just and the unjust. For if you love them which love you, what reward have you? Do not even the publicans do the same? And if you salute your brethren only, what do you more than others? Do not even the publicans do that? Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. So the command there is to use your whole being. And the love must extend beyond just good relationships and friendly words. It goes deeper. Agape love is, well, it literally means to desire one's best good. We should love everyone enough that we desire the very best for them. It doesn't mean now that we can just overlook everything that happens that they do is bad and just, well, that's the way it goes. Doesn't mean that. But it means some way we need to reach out to them through a loving heart to try to make corrections. When someone has gone off course and not following what he needs to follow at all, he needs help. And he should be loved. Desire one's best good. To desire what is best for someone, as we said, doesn't mean that we're overlooking the evil. Doesn't mean that at all. But just means that we want them to receive that which will be the best good for them. Now reading back from our original text, we go back to John 21. In John 21, verses 15 through 17, and I'll read it like I'm reading from the Greek Interlinear lexicon or version of the New Testament, and tell you why there's a special meaning there. In verse 14, now this is the third time that Jesus showed himself to his disciples. After that, he was risen from the dead. So when they had dined, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me more than these? The word love there is from the noun agape. It's the agape type of love. The love that is above all love. The love that requires your whole being, everything. And it's the love that can go beyond friendship, even to enemies, even to those that may not seem to deserve it, yet we should desire their best good. And Jesus said to him, Lord, you know that I love you. But he didn't use the word agape. He was saying something like, yes, Lord, I'm really appreciative of your character. I admire you. I'm friendly toward you. So Jesus asked him a second time, Simon Peter, son of Jonah, do you love me? And Peter, yes, Lord, yes. I'm interested in your well-being. I know enough to know that you expect something of us, but he didn't use the word agape, nor a derivative of it. And so Jesus asked him the third time, saying, Son of Jonas, lovest thou me? Peter was grieved because he said to him the third time, lovest thou me? Why was he grieved? Jesus used his term. Simon Peter, are you fond of me? Lord, you know I'm fond of you. He still wasn't getting the point, was he? Jesus needed to know that this Peter, who a short time ago had said, I will die for you. I will go everywhere. I will never deny you. And now he's saying, well, I'm fond of you, not I love you with all my being. And so Peter was grieved because he in that last time used his word. Peter, are you affectionate toward me? Instead of using the word agape. And Peter still didn't say the one that comes from the word agape. Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you. So the meaning is kind of hidden in the English Bible. But if you just get a little bit of knowledge from the original Greek in which it was written, it tells you there's a difference in what Jesus was asking and what Peter was answering. Do you love me? Yes, Lord, I'm fond of you. Peter, do you love me? Yes, Lord, I'm fond of you. Peter, are you fond of me? Yes, Lord, you know all things. You know I'm fond of you. Just couldn't go all the way. But now, the question is given to us. Do you love me? Do you, brother? Do you, sister? Do you love me? He said, do you love me more than these? There could be some difference in meaning there. He could have been saying, do you love me more than these other disciples? Or do you love me more than these things you have? It could have been either of those. But the meaning is still there. Do you love me more than anything else? And his answer wasn't that complete. So the question, as I said, comes to us, to me and you. Do you love Jesus? What are we told in the scriptures? If you love me, keep my commandments. What are his commandments? Hear, believe, repent, confess, be baptized, live for Jesus. Are we doing that? If you need to confess your love to Jesus tonight by obedience to the gospel, by asking for restoration and the prayers of the brotherhood, if you have any need whatsoever, if you love Jesus and need these things, Jesus is the answer. Would you come while we stand and sing?
God is calling the prodigal, come without delay.
Hear his loving voice calling still.
Calling now for thee. Though you wandered so far from his presence, come today. Hear his loving voice calling still. Calling now for thee. Oh, weary prodigal, come. Calling now for thee. Oh, weary prodigal, come. Patient, loving, and tenderly still the Father pleads. Hear Hear his loving voice calling still. Calling now for thee. Calling now for thee. Oh, weary prodigal, come. Weary prodigal, come. Weary prodigal, come. Calling now for thee. Calling now for thee. Calling now for thee. Oh, weary prodigal, come. Weary prodigal, come. Weary prodigal, come.
Get this stuff out of your way.
Sure appreciate that lesson, Tom. It's one of the most interesting interactions between Jesus and his disciples, I think, in the Gospels for sure. It's very interesting and appreciate that study. Let's go ahead and turn to number 600 as we are going to close for the evening. Number 600. As Tom pointed out, the question that Jesus asked is ultimately a call to action when you boil it right down to it. So let's think about that as we sing this song. We'll sing number 600, and then Robert will dismiss us in prayer. O Master, let me walk with thee in lowly paths of service free. Tell me thy secret, help me bear the strain of toil, the fret of care. Help me the slow of heart to move by some clear winning word of love. Teach me the way, what feet to say, and guide them in the homeward way. In hope that sends a shining ray far down the future's broadening way. In that only thou canst give with